bookish friends, my name is Jackie and welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share 10 books that I think will make you cry. The first book that I think will make you cry is Firefly Lane by Kristin Hannah. This is the story of the lifelong friendship between Tully Hart and Kate Malarkey. So it spans from their teenage years in the 1970s to their adulthood in the early 2000s. And the novel explores a lot of different personalities and backgrounds. It also deals with a lot of the challenges and the triumphs that they face within their life. And it highlights the power of female friendship. So we really see a lot of the struggles that they face within their lives, but I think the ending in particular will be the part that will make you cry within this book. There are so many struggles that Kate and Tully go through together, and a lot of them are really heart-wrenching and are difficult to read about for sure. I teared up a few times throughout the book, but the ending really got to me. Of course, the reason why the ending will make you cry is something that I can't share because that would be spoiling the book, but I highly recommend this if you're looking for a book that will make you cry. There are so many complex themes and things going on within this story, and just the dynamics between the two main characters is so difficult to read about at times, but it's so beautifully well done. Any of Kristin Hannah's books will actually make you cry, including The Nightingale, but I wanted to highlight this one because the ending really served me a gut punch in a way that I wasn't expecting from this one. The Nightingale is a World War II novel, so I kind of expected some heart-wrenching things to happen in it, but I was not prepared for the ending of Firefly Lane. Another book that will make you cry is Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. This is a recent read for me, and it's a romance novel that follows Hendrix Berry. She is a successful entrepreneur and a caregiver for her mother who has Alzheimer's. And just some of the scenes where she's dealing with her mother's Alzheimer's and coming to terms with her mother's illness are really difficult to read about. I teared up and cried during some of these scenes. Like, it was hard. It was very hard on me. And if you've ever dealt with a family member that has dementia or Alzheimer's, this will be one that will make you cry as well. It was so beautifully written, and the main focus of the story is the romance, but there are so many difficult things that both Maverick and Hendrix have to face within it. There are themes of ambition and responsibility within this one, and the challenges of trying to find love while balancing a career and familial expectations. So that's very prevalent within the story. There's also quite a few instances of prejudice and discrimination within this story, which might make you cry and be difficult for you to read about. Maverick deals with a lot of discrimination and prejudice within his business dealings, so that's something that is important to note as well. But if you're looking for a very powerful and heart-wrenching read with a romance at the core, I highly recommend Can't Get Enough. Another book that will make you cry is a World War II historical fiction, and this is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. It is narrated by death, which is a very unique perspective, and it's set in Nazi Germany during the Second World War. It is telling the story of Liesl Meiminger. So she's a young girl living with her foster parents in Mulching, and her life is forever changed when she begins stealing books, and she finds solace and power in the words amidst the backdrop of the war and persecution. So a lot of very difficult things are happening here. There are book burnings discussed within this, which might make you cry in itself, and also some other deeper things happening within the story. Liesl is facing a threat because she's obviously rescuing these books from being burned, and they're things that the Nazis don't want the German population to have access to. So you're always fearing for her safety and her family's safety as well. And the Hubermans are hiding another secret, which I don't want to tell you about because it's a little bit of a spoiler, but there are a lot of very scary and nerve-wracking things happening within this story. It will definitely make you cry several times, and just hearing all of this being narrated from Death's perspective gives it like an extra punch that you didn't really expect. But if you're looking for a World War II historical fiction that will really make you cry, besides The Nightingale, I do recommend The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. My next recommendation is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. This is a young adult novel that follows the intertwined lives of Theodore Finch and Violet Markey, two teenagers that are struggling with mental health challenges and grief. So just that context alone will make you cry. Like, some of the things that they're dealing with are really hard in this book, and Finch is really fascinated by death. He's battling his own demons, and he meets Violet, who is coping with the loss of her sister. They find solace and connection with each other, and they begin to explore the wonders of Indiana for a school project. But the journey is going to take a dark turn as Finch's mental health continues to deteriorate while Violet begins to heal. That alone should tell you enough about this story and what it's about, but they are both meeting at this precipice in their life when they're at the ledge of contemplating suicide and ending their lives. things, and this was a very hard book to get through. I cried throughout this, and just reading about Violet's grief and the reasons why Finch is struggling was really difficult to stomach. Definitely check all your trigger warnings for this book if you're going to check it out, and if you're looking for a book that will really make you sob all the right places, is definitely the right one to go for. Another one that will make you cry is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. This tells the story of Mateo and Rufus. They are two teenagers who receive a call from Deathcast, and basically this is a service that tells people when they only have 24 hours left to live. So they connect through this app called the Last Friend app, and they spend their final day together, forming a deep bond. So it explores themes of love, loss, life, all in the face of mortality, and they end up finding each other and having all these shared experiences, so they have a deep connection that's forming. And the novel is really about trying to live your life to the fullest, because you never know which day will be your last, and it ultimately ends with them dying, which is not a surprise since the book is called They Both Die at the End. But this book does leave a really lasting impression on you on the fragility and beauty of existence and life, so it makes us question and contemplate all of our choices, and that will make you cry for sure. Reading the ending where they die, of course, is gonna make you cry, but just contemplating all the things that these two teenagers will never get to do as well is something that made me cry. And if you're looking for one that does explore these deeper themes of mortality and trying to make the most of our life, this is one that I would really recommend. They Both Die at the End is not my favorite YA book ever, but I do really appreciate how Adam Silvera handled these topics with a lot of gentility and care, so it's definitely one that should be on your radar if you're looking for a book to make you cry. Another World War II one is The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne. This tells the story of Bruno, who is a young German boy. His father is a Nazi commandant, and his family moves from Berlin to a house near a concentration camp called Auschwitz. He is bored and lonely and begins to befriend a Jewish boy named Shmuel, who lives behind a barbed wire fence, and he doesn't really know the true nature of the camp or what is going on there. And this book has a really tragic ending when Bruno goes to help Shmuel search for his father. So I'm not going to tell you any more than that because it would be in major spoiler territory, but just know that this made me sob in tears. I also saw the film adaptation, and that made me bawl my eyes out as well. And if you're looking for a World War II historical fiction that explores themes of naivete and just the impact that war can have on the young and the vulnerable, I think this book would be perfect for you to dive into. It'll make you cry for sure and make you feel all these deep feelings. It also makes us question the responsibility that we have for the young in our society and the issues that can come up when they are not properly informed about the events that are going on around them. And I think for those reasons alone, it will probably make you cry, and is also one that I really recommend you check out. Another young adult book is The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This tells the story of Hazel Grace Lancaster, who's 16 years old, and she has a terminal cancer, and she attends a support group where she meets and falls in love with Augustus Waters. He is a charming and witty cancer survivor, so he is actually in remission. The relationship blossoms throughout the story, and they navigate the complexities of love, loss, and searching for meaning in the face of mortality. So obviously you can tell that the main character has a terminal illness, so that's going to lead to a lot of feelings of sadness and depression throughout the story. And reading about her depression and the way that she tries to cope with her cancer diagnosis and her terminal illness is very difficult to stomach. I cried several times throughout this, and the ending is quite unexpected. You know that a character is going to die at the end of this book, but it's not exactly the person that you would expect, and I was really bawling my eyes out. The movie adaptation also made me cry really hard, and if you're looking for something to cleanse your eyeballs and get all of those tears out, I would recommend The Fault in Our Stars. The next one is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. This tells the story of Louisa Clark, who is a young woman that takes on a job as a caregiver for Will Traynor. He is a wealthy man who was once adventurous, and he's now quadriplegic after an accident. And while he comes across initially as cold and bitter, her cheerful personality gradually helps him find joy in his life again. And as they grow closer, Lou learns that Will has decided to end his life through assisted suicide, and this leads to a heartbreaking exploration of love, personal choice, and the meaning of life. So you really are questioning in this book whether Will is going to go through with it and actually end his own life through assisted medical care, and that's a big looming threat and question throughout the book. Louisa is really trying to make things better for him and show him that there's still things to live for, but it's so hard to read about, especially when you're living through things from Will's perspective and he is reflecting back on all the adventurous things that he used to be able to do in his life. He had such a full life before his accident, and he feels very limited in his capacities and his ability to continue on after his accident, and this is really hard to read about. I cried several times in this book. The ending made me sob, but just all the way throughout I had like the foreboding feeling that something bad was going to happen. And I really would recommend diving into this one if you're looking for some romance as well. But please note that it will break your heart at the end. This is not a happily ever after, so keep that in mind. And dive into this one with some caution, but still, if you're looking for one that will be heartbreakingly bitter and will make you sob, I do recommend it. Next is another YA recommendation. This is If I Stay by Gail Forman. It tells the story of Mia, who is a 17-year-old girl who experiences a devastating car accident. This kills her parents and her younger brother and leaves her in a coma. And while she's unconscious, her spirit has an out-of-body experience. This allows her to observe the reactions of her loved ones and the doctors as they're fighting to save her. And the novel explores her internal struggles as she grapples with the choice of whether to try and stay and face the pain of living without her family or letting go and dying. So this one is going to break your heart from the very beginning. The accident happens near the start of the story, so all of this is happening after, and it's the fallout from the accident. I was brokenhearted reading this, and I actually watched the adaptation for this first, and I had no idea what to expect going into that, and had my heart broken and stomped on into pieces while watching it. So definitely one that I would recommend if you're looking for your heart to be smashed a little bit and to cry. There is a lot of exploration of grief in this one and loss, as Mia's trying to decide whether she wants to continue living or give up and join her parents and her younger brother in death. And I think that is a really interesting perspective to read about. Her out-of-body experience with this was intriguing, and I liked hearing her thoughts through all of the plot points in the narrative. So it's a really unique perspective on death and living and the choice between life and death when you're so close and you're hanging in the balance. And I like that it's told from this unique perspective. There are very few stories that are actually told like this, so I would recommend it. Mia is also a big music aficionado. She plays the cello, I believe, and she is very talented, so that's another cool thing to note. But if you're looking for another book that questions life and morality and choosing whether to live or die, I would check out If I Stay. My last recommendation is for The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This tells the story of Star Carter, who is 16 years old when she witnesses the fatal shooting of her childhood friend Khalil by a police officer. And the book is kind of exploring the aftermath of this event as Star is navigating the complexities of her two worlds, her predominantly black and impoverished neighborhood and her white affluent school that she attends. And she has to grapple with a lot of emotional trauma of the shooting while feeling pressure to speak out against police brutality, and has the challenges of code switching between her two identities. This one really hurts. The beginning focuses on the death of her friend, and that caused me to cry and was difficult to read about. But watching Star deal with the aftermath of that and trying to navigate moving forward from this situation was even worse, and I cried several times in the narrative. Watching the movie also made me bawl a few times, so if you're looking for a really difficult story to stomach, this is definitely one that you should check out. In spite of the difficult themes being talked about, it has a lot of important messages that you should really keep in mind and are important to discuss within the story and within the movie, so I highly recommend this one. I know that there are going to be some triggers in here for certain audiences, so do keep that in mind if you are interested in checking this out. And it does discuss a lot about activism and justice within this story, which I do think are important concepts to always keep in mind and to try to carry out in our day-to-day lives. So if you're looking for a story with some deeper meanings that really highlights the importance of family, community, personal growth, and advocating for yourself and for your community, I highly recommend The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Alright, so those are all of the books that I would recommend if you're looking for something that will make you cry. Have you read any of these books, or do you have any recommendations for me? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, give it a like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate each and every one of you, and wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, I hope that you're doing well, and I'll see you for another one soon. Bye!